With the announcement of Boggy Creek being released on 4K and Blu-ray, it occurs to me that a movie made in 1972 about Bigfoot on a budget of $100,000 is going to get a 4K remaster before James Cameron's The Abyss and True Lies. And that's kind of amazing. I've only ever seen the movie in its grainy, poor VHS quality restoration. Even this DVD, which was one of my first DVDs I ever bought with my own money, the quality is, it's always been really poor. The audio is poor. A lot of times you can't tell what's going on, especially during the nighttime sequences. Film holds a special and interesting place in movie history. Like I said earlier, this movie was made on a budget of $100,000. It was made by a guy named Charles Pierce, and this is one of his first movies. It was basically self-financed. He went around to a bunch of local businesses and borrowed a lot of money and made this movie, and I am blown away because for all intents and purposes, this movie shouldn't exist in the way that it does. It is not made by anybody particularly famous. It was not distributed by any huge studio, but yet it made $20 million at the box office. It was one of the most highest grossing drive-in films ever. But this was a film that was very popular in that kind of medium. And in a way, the way that the movie is shot, it's a sort of mockumentary docudrama type thing. And what Pierce does is probably the most effective part of this film, and what makes it feel so real at times is the fact that he took a real location, Falk, Arkansas, and people who actually had encounters and had them in the film playing a fictional version of themselves, reenacting their encounters with an actor in a suit. Because it is very much in the same way as like the Blair Witch Project. When the Blair Witch Project, a lot of people thought that was real, that these kids actually died while filming this movie because it was so, they'd never seen a movie like that before. And in 1973, Boggy Creek was a lot of the same way, and the world had really just been introduced to the Bigfoot through the Patterson film only a couple years before that, and Legend of Boggy Creek further put Sasquatch into the minds of the general public. And when people think of good Bigfoot movies, they still think of this old one, and this old one is really like the first successful Bigfoot movie ever. It's crazy to me that a guy who just wanted to make a film about a subject he was interested in just made it. And it's like he got the help of his friends and a bunch of townspeople, people who aren't actors per se, but yet that adds a whole new flavor to the film. And yeah, Legend of Boggy Creek is easy to pick on. It would be easy to pick this film apart, but I don't know if that's necessarily fair, because this is essentially a whole movie made very well. Does it hold up? No, not at all. It's cheesy. Some of the acting, a lot of the acting is over the top, but its docudrama style makes it feel like an episode of In Search Of instead of just a plain old movie. And in a lot of ways, when you're watching the film, it feels like you discovered an old documentary that has been hidden away for so long. It's undeniable that this has had an impact on future filmmakers. Like I mentioned earlier, the directors of the Blair Witch Project were very much inspired by this movie, the way they made their movie in a documentary style. And ironically enough, one of them went on to direct the very good movie Exists, probably the best Bigfoot movie you could ever find. And I think this movie could do very well with a 4K release. I'm excited with what I've seen so far, and the footage looks absolutely beautiful now. I mean, with the 4K release, I think that's going to be that we're going to see the film in a whole new light. That being said, my fear is that it'll get cleaned up so much that the monster sequences won't be as effective, because maybe you'll be able to tell the flaws with the suit. And that is another thing the film does well in its current state, is that the monster is hidden in darkness or is far away. You never see him close up, and even when you do, it's from the back. You can never tell that it's a guy in a suit. It's very effective, and my fear is that when it's cleaned up, that the Bigfoot suit or the actors portraying the creature won't be as effective. But I think other than that, the idea of this drive-in classic getting a 4K restoration is surprising and cool. It gives me hope that other movies like The Keep can get the love they deserve. And I'm sure that Charles Pierce had absolutely no idea what a phenomenon this movie would be during that time, and what kind of legacy it would have all these years later, that it would warrant a 4K restoration and even a theatrical release. My hope with this new release is that we can also have some new behind the scenes footage as well. This film is very obscure in how exactly it was made. I mean, it's Legend of Boggy Creek. It's a part of film history. It's a weird part of film history, because I mean, the movie isn't like Frankenstein or Nightmare on Elm Street, which still hold up, but yet it has its rightful place in horror cinema. So have you seen it? Comment below, let me know. Are you excited for the 4K Blu-ray release? Let me know if you're going to get your copy. I certainly am, and we'll do a vlog on it after I get to watch it in the middle of summer. Thanks as always for watching. Make sure you check out my merch store below.